Welcome to the Draft Board Hockey Show, episode 11. And today we are going to talk about Roger McQueen because it is rumored he's going to be returning on Monday for his first game back in a long time. Linker, my boy from New Wave Hockey, how's it going, buddy?
It's going really, really well. I'm having a great time here in Denmark, but this week I'm going to be in Finland, and I will be catching some Liga action, and I'm going to be seeing some prospects, Aaron Kiviharju, Thomas Palatine. It's going to be really excellent. I'm really excited to go. I'm going to be there kind of for an entire week, so I'm super excited. Today, I'm so excited to talk about Roger McQueen. He really is one of my favorite players in this draft class, and I really just can't wait to just dive in and talk about the possibilities because he's coming back, and I'm so happy. I'm so excited.
You know what? He's been kind of an enigma because at the beginning of the season, there were like a couple of outlets that had him, like contending for first overall, second overall, third overall. Dropped a little bit in a lot of rankings lately. Obviously, we haven't seen him all season long. So it'll be nice to kind of see, where he's at. And he's got about a month left in the dub and then playoff hockey. And so, so we're going to see how Roger McQueen, finishes off the season, especially, there's questions about his injury, the bulging disc in his back. So we're going to finally get to see the man, the myth, the legend, Roger McQueen. That's what we're talking about today.
It's going to be really awesome. I'm really excited. Again, he started off the year incredible. He only played 8 games this year, but through those 8 games, 8 goals, 3 assists for 11 points. And he started off the season with a 4-goal game. Yeah. He came out off the rip. He has just been insane. He's been incredible. He's been looking just as advertised because he had a really great draft year -1 season. But again, injury cut short a lot of the season, and it looks like it would have cut out most of the season if it weren't all of the season if it weren't for this news that he's coming back, which I'm very grateful to see. I think we have a question from one of the followers actually talking and asking about a comparison between him and Caden Lindstrom, which we'll get into. But again, it's very good news to kind of see that he's going to get back, but it makes the job of us analyzing his game a little bit easier because I've actually watched all 8 games of Roger McQueen this year.
Yeah, so. And again, small sample size, right? And then, the Linc and all that kind of stuff, but you still want to see how they endure the entire season. And so we finally get to see, well, at least a month of his hockey. But let me show you, I always post this up every month, and I wanted to show points per game for the up until February 28th, and this is, you'd have to have plus 25 games played. So Michael Misa, look at that, 2.11. Porter Martone, he bumped up a little bit, 1.82. Ben Kindle, 1.63. Reshny's at 4, 1.56, and then Desnoyers at 5th, and he's 1.54. So you know what? I like showing this. Michael Misa, just absolutely most points in Saginaw Spirit history. So he's breaking records. Yeah, he's having a season. You know what? We've talked about this over and over again. Misa, Schaefer, Hagens, that whole, threesome and what they're gonna, potentially do in the draft. So it's always fun. But yeah, 2.11, he's tearing it up.
It's really been incredible. If we want to take a look at the Misa tracker one more time, 57 points through 25 games, 26 of those points being goals, 31 of those points being assists. Wow. It just doesn't stop. He had 2 goals and an assist last night, firmly solidified him as the highest scoring player in Saginaw Spirit history. And that's incredible because there are players who have played longer than him in the Saginaw Spirit and will probably play longer. He's only going to play the 3 years that he's played. He's done. He's going to the NHL. I firmly believe that he is an NHL ready product. He's been incredible. But going back to that list that you showed, looking at some of the players, I'm actually firmly kind of surprised by some of these names. I've actually been, I guess, higher than most people on Philippe Veilleux from Val d'Or. And again, he's exemplifies why this draft class is so strong for Quebec players. I mean, we see Carbonneau there. We see Bill Zonin there. Also, Lev Katzin started out in the USHL, another interesting player. Very small player, but he's been putting up points for Guelph. I really like him as well. Just some of the unsung heroes you just see there in that list. I really do like it. So, but it's really interesting to look at. And again, our boy or my boy Misa, not our boy yet. I'll get you there.
Not yet.
Firmly atop.
That's another player that we're waiting to see come back from injury is good old Matthew Schaefer, but hopefully I haven't heard any rumblings about him coming back. So I'm anxious to see that because I really like to see him finish off the season or even some playoff hockey. Potential first overall pick. So it's tough, right? When you don't have that sample size that you kind of like, because you like to see how they're progressing during the season. Can they tough out the 60 game plus season? So yeah, still waiting on him to come back too. So it's nice to have McQueen's back though, for sure.
Oh, 100%. Very excited.
Yeah. All right. So let's pull up some clips. So the thing is with McQueen, like we said, only played 8 games, 4 goals in his first game. He's 6'5" and almost 200 pounds, which is really, really enticing for NHL scouts. And he's a centerman. So, from the few games that you've watched, what's kind of things that stand out for Roger McQueen? And we saw you posted a clip of him practicing there on the return, and he's looking pretty good. Had a couple dangles there in that practice, eh?
Oh yeah. The main thing that really draws me to McQueen, I think draws a lot of people to McQueen, is yes, 6'5", 190, leaning towards 100 and or 200 pounds, and babyface is gonna grow. Could be 6'6", could be huge, could be incredible. But as we talk with all these large players, he's this tall, and what can he do after that? Roger McQueen is 6'5" and one of the most fluid offensive creators in this draft. He is a brilliant stick handler. I think he's a really, really tight passing playmaker. And his shot, though I do think it needs some work, has a lot of power naturally because of his 6'5" frame. I really like the way that he skates for a 6'5" guy. I really think that his tools propel him and give him one of the highest upsides in this entire draft. I know we say this every single year when we talk about really big and tall forwards, but he's kind of a unicorn. He's someone that I wrote about in August this year, and I didn't have a player comparison for him because the sky is really the limit. He's a unicorn player with how skilled he is and how tall he is. It's like we're talking about a basketball prospect right now. It really is incredible. Like he's done incredible work. The only issue, the sample size has only been 8 games. So
yeah, I mean, you know what? Though it's a good sign that he's coming back. Like people say, Caden Lindstrom, but Lindstrom still hasn't played a game since last season, and so McQueen's coming back, which is a good sign. And like I said, if he can kind of get back to that pre-injury or when he took that time off kind of pace that he was maintaining, then he's gonna talk himself into the top 5 potentially. And like I just showed that clip there of him kind of dangling there, so you kind of saw the stick handling in the skating right there. But as you mentioned before, he's a sneaky good passer too. And there's this one clip here, so he takes it into the zone here. And look at that, there's like 4 guys there, and he finds that open lane, and you see it right here. So it looks like he doesn't even look where he's passing. He's looking at the goalie. So I think it threw the goalie off, but you'll see it in this play right here. So it's in his peripheral vision. He knows where his teammate is. He's looking at the net, and then he dishes it off. So he's a sneaky good passer too, which, people think, he got 4 goals in his first game and, he's a shooter, great stick handler too. I have to admit, he's a great stick handler too for a big kid. In tight spaces, he kind of gets out of those jams with the stick handling. So yeah, there's a couple of different weapons in his arsenal that you kind of like. And like I said, 6'5", 200 pounds and can skate. His skating has really, really jumped up. And that is something you like to see in a big kid.
Oh, 100%. 100%. And one thing to talk about his goal scoring ability, he doesn't really seem to be a natural, scorer from deep. A lot of his goals have been right in front of the net, which again, it's kind of what you want from a big body presence.
Here, let me show you. Let me add this clip while you talk. So in tight, watch this one. Boom. See that?
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's gross. Again, that's his stick handling skills. Just roofs it. And look at the passion of this guy.
Yeah.
That's another reason why I really like him. He's a very passionate player. He's his compete. Again, he does have to pace himself. 6'5", he's big. He tires out quickly because of those long strides. But he's a very passionate player. You can feel his energy throughout the entire game. And I feel like if he was playing the entire season, he would be a captain by this point. I really can't talk enough about what I've heard about Roger McQueen off the ice. He seems like a tremendous guy. But going back to the goal scoring, his off puck IQ is really brilliant. I really like the way that he positions himself when he doesn't have the puck, because he's a brilliant thinker when he has the puck. When he doesn't have the puck, he knows exactly where to be on the ice, and he creates really solid scoring chances. They're a young team there in Brandon, and they're getting some experience. I think they're a Memorial Cup winner in like a couple years' time, hopefully with McQueen off that roster and into the NHL by that point. But again, he's making the most out of that roster right there. And while he was there for the games that he was this year and then last year when he was playing a full season.
Yeah, so here I'm going to show another clip here. So this is the that passing ability. So you saw how he kind of waited for that lane to open up. So that's him at the top there. You'll see it right here. So that's him at the top. See that? Look at that. Just finding lanes, eh? That's some hockey IQ right there. Just slowing the play down, right? He had some pressure on both from the front and the back, and he dished it off the perfect time. So he's got those, like you said, that the IQ, that the way he patrols the ice, sees the ice well, great skater, big. Stick handling is awesome. Yeah, it's going to be. I can't wait to see him play. I think they said March 4th, which is Monday, right? Or
Tuesday. Yeah, that's Tuesday.
So,
I will firmly be in Estonia when that happens. So, I'm really sad because it's a 7-hour time difference. I would totally stay up to watch that game. So, we'll see.
Well, actually, I'm gonna be heading out to BC that day. So, you know what? Yeah,
lucky.
I'm going to try to catch the game. Well, I won't be able to get it live, but, I'm going to catch the game for sure at some point there. Have a couple of pops and watch some Roger McQueen in action, which I am pumped for too. So, yeah, you know what? He's going to be a fun player to watch. And so, like I said, 11 points in 8 games, 6'5", 200 pounds. Like, yeah, you know what? This is we're excited. This is gonna make some changes in the draft rankings, the mocks, and all that kind of stuff. Especially if he comes back. This is one of those tough situations, right? Comes back and he's on fire. Wow. Comes back subpar. We're gonna say, he's had the season off, so we'll give him his legs. But if he comes back and starts, banging them out, we're gonna have some discussions to make for sure for where he ends up in this draft.
I came out with a list right before he got injured, and I confidently put him at my number 3 player in the draft, because at that point it was Hagens 1, Martone 2, and we didn't know at 3. Schaefer hadn't essentially emerged yet, but he was my 4, and McQueen was firmly at my 3. And I really want McQueen to creep back into that conversation again, because I think he has the tools to do it. It's just the sample size. Just everything, when you watch him play, everything to me screams top 5 pick. This guy is oozing talent, oozing confidence, oozing potential, but the sample size. That's the one thing I'm looking for. So I'm so excited for March 4th.
He's going to be back soon, so we're not going to have to wait any longer for that there, Linc. And yeah, that's unreal. We can't wait for that. All right, so now
I have a browser tab. Open for the WHL like scores now. I'm just have it ready for the next few days. I'm just going to be watching carefully.
So. Yes, it's going to be fun. All right, so now follower questions.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
All right. So, Linc, what do we got here? The first one is, let me get you ready here. First question or first comment or question. What is that there, Linc?
So the first, I guess we can talk about these 2 comments right here, but this is from last video. We've got someone say, Eklund reminds me a bit of Travis Konechny. Me too. Okay. Me too. Yeah. But here's the big question that I was alluring to. Someone left a comment. How about a comparison from last year's draft and this year's upcoming draft? The battle of bad backs. Caden Lindstrom versus Roger McQueen. This is an interesting one. I really picked this one out because we knew that we were going to be doing Roger McQueen. And we were going to have this discussion. But man, this is tough. I'm really.
Are we talking comparison in terms of their play style and stuff like that?
I guess I think what we can make this interesting is I guess who would you rather have as this thing? I don't know if that's what Steven wanted us to say, but I guess who would you prefer at this point?
So they're 2 different players, right? I mean,
obviously.
yeah, Caden Lindstrom is that power forward type guy, crashes the net, physical, just the wild man on the ice. And then Roger McQueen is more of that finesse player, the slippery hands and the goal scoring touch. I think it just depends on what an NHL team is looking for. Personally, I'd go with Roger McQueen. That's my personal preference. I like those guys, those big players that have the soft hands and like I said, decent skater. He sees the ice really well. I'd say that in terms of hockey IQ, I'd give the edge to Roger McQueen. But that physical nature that Caden Lindstrom brings, he's the kind of player that wins important games. So yeah, I think it depends on the team and what they already have in the system. That's my opinion.
This hurts me to say this, and I'm going to go in this direction. Not to contradict you, but I do kind of believe this way. And I'm someone who thinks Roger McQueen is some of the highest upside we've ever seen out of a prospect. I love Roger McQueen. I've been following him since he was like 15. I've just been watching Roger McQueen games. I couldn't wait for this draft year for him, and I'm so bummed that he's only played 8 games. I can't wait for him to come back.
Yeah.
But it's so rare when you have a player as skilled as Caden Lindstrom have just a monopoly on violence.
Oh, yeah.
And I know it's taken a year for him to come back, which is tough. But given the skill set, I would probably prefer Caden Lindstrom just because of it's close. But I really like the way Caden Lindstrom, I think, is a better scorer. I don't think he's a better skater, which might be a hot take, even though he moves his feet really well. But just the physical aspect to his game, along with how skilled he is just something that Roger McQueen isn't exactly there yet. I still think Roger McQueen competes really well. I just think Caden Lindstrom is just going to be a destroyer of worlds at the NHL.
Oh, I agree.
He can stay healthy.
Therein lies the problem too, is that it's not like he came back sooner than later, whereas Roger McQueen's coming back now. So the time off might help Caden Lindstrom too. If you can rehab it properly and he comes back, and I'm sure that he's going to have a lot of pent up energy. We'll say. I feel bad for the first team that plays against Caden Lindstrom because I think he's just going to terrorize them. It's going to be scary. It's going to be a scary situation. Whoever has to play Caden Lindstrom his first game back after a year and a half hiatus, watch out.
And that Medicine Hat team is already scary just to begin with. So let's move on to the next question, because there was a lot of really good questions on this video. I want to get to them all.
Yeah, we got a bunch. Okay, so here let's hit this one.
So Nathan Tyone says, I'd like to see a video strictly based off comparing defensemen in the draft. I feel like Schaefer, and it's Schaefer, yes, of course. But after that, it's really based off personal preference between Smith, Murtka, Fiddler, Aitchison, Hensler, and arguably Cameron Reed. I'll go there. Don't worry, Nathan, I'll go there. So I'd like to know what you guys think. Of course, I don't want to do this. I'll watch either way. Hey, we appreciate it. And also, suck it, Linc. Canada sport forever. All right. Rub it in.
Yes. I love it when they say, "Hey, again, sorry." Listen, we already talked that up already. But so I'm gonna start off by saying I think it's Schaefer in a tier. Then I think it's Murtka in a tier, and then I think there's a tier below where you can add a bunch of players there. That's my personal opinion.
I somewhat agree with you, but I do want to put Jackson Smith in that tier with Murtka, and I'll tell you why. I go back and forth, and I actually had Fiddler in the mix between in the mix with Smith and Murtka in I guess last month, but just kind of I think Fiddler's kind of fallen out of that. But I think Smith and Murtka kind of suffer from the same thing. Defensively, they need more structure. They kind of look lost in the defensive zone, and they have really high potential offensive wise because they've been showing that they're very confident with the puck. Smith a little more so. Murtka, I guess, is more of a special cause because he's 6'6" and he's a right shot defenseman,
and he's
huge.
And
exactly. But I think it would not surprise me at all if a general manager prefers Smith over Murtka, because I do think that they kind of suffer from the same thing. And it's just kind of a situation where like a GM will see what they both of them bring and be like, I can fix his defensive woes. I can teach him defensively. So we'll have to see. They're both big WHL defensemen who excel offensively, excel especially well in transition, which is kind of rare when you're talking about two defensemen who are above the height of 6'2", and kind of look a little lost in the defensive zone. So I think, again, that's where I draw the second tier. And then after that, for me, Aitchison is crawling up. Him and Hensler, I think, are competing with Fiddler in that third
plus
tier.
20 goals for Aitchison in the O as a defenseman.
My boy. And then Cameron Reed.
As a defenseman.
Cameron Reed, I love the inclusion of that. He's a fun guy to watch, and he's someone that like I'll look at and be like, you know what, a case can be made. A case can be made. However, I do want to throw one more name in there. He has been like Roger McQueen. He has been injured since early in the year. American Carter Amico, I think, is another very violent, tall defenseman. He's someone that I've had on my radar for a long time. He's really, really good.
Yeah, and like you said, injury plagued season. Well, he doesn't. Yeah, so you know what, and that hurts you. You know what I mean? But if we go back to last season, like, yeah, he's a real deal.
There's going to be a time where I eventually do a video on Carter Amico, and I'm literally only going to show clips from when the USNTDP played colleges and how destructive he was against those colleges. It was insane. So
yeah. Yeah, so yeah, you know what? I think personal preference in terms of like, you know, where they fall in terms of tiers and stuff like that. I just did a video on Logan Hensler, and like, you know, really good skate. He's just so conservative. You know what I mean? Like, I wish he was just took a little bit more risk, a little bit more flair in that game. You know what I mean? He does things really well. There's things I just want to see a little bit more from him. You know what I mean, right? Like, yeah.
No, I know exactly what you mean. You and I both watched him at the USNTDP last year, and he was
last year. Like, I was like, oh man, you know, 32 points in 50 games. Like, I mean, those are great numbers.
And even his contemporaries, like, and like again, someone that I've really liked, but he's not a first round talent. Dakota Rail Mullen, he was also a very talented offensive defenseman from USNTDP. He's found a role and found a way to transition to become a confident defenseman with the puck at Michigan, and he's smaller than Hensler. So again, it's probably coaching. Again, Wisconsin, they produce defensemen pretty well. They also have a more of defensive structure. Look at like Charlie Stromel, who came out of them, Alex Turcotte, Keandre Miller. Yeah, so I think there's more of a behind the scenes approach there with like it's kind of different from how I guess he's been coached with the USNTDP, but again, we'll see. So
yeah. All right. Next question.
Yes. There was a lot of people being like preferring Frondell, which I was prepared to take. However, I did like one question. I think this is a very interesting thing we can talk about. Does Victor Eklund have a higher ceiling than William Eklund, his older brother? So it comes from Tigers and Bruins there. That's an interesting discussion. I actually want to hear your opinion about that, because I think that I have a very niche opinion about that.
No, I'd say Willie Eklund has a higher upside or ceiling. He's been kind of playing on the wing more lately, and I think that is kind of helping him out a bit. But just the way that he sees the ice, and see, Willie Eklund, like I said, or Victor Eklund he's that go-getter. And I know you said like the way he along the wall, he gets those passes out, right? But in my opinion, like Willie Eklund, he just patrols the ice and sees the ice really, really well. And so Victor Eklund is more of that, you know, in your face, kind of on you, you know, get into the mix of things and produces, you know, opportunities that way. Whereas Willie Eklund slows the play down, and you know, he's kind of like a chess player in my opinion. So that I see little differences in both of those two. And I know you like Victor Eklund because you said you like Victor Eklund over Frondell, which is ludicrous, but whatever. That's your opinion.
All right, ludicrous. No, I don't think ludicrous, but no. So,
I'm just joking.
I do prefer Vic, partially because he's taller, but again, it has prompted me a couple times to go back and look at my notes for Will. And again, 2021, Yeah, 2021 was kind of a weaker draft class, and I had Will high. I really did. I really thought again, a very special player. And like you said, chess player. He thought the game he still thinks the game really, really well.
Yeah.
I like it. I like his stick handling a lot, but thought his game like needed an edge to it, and the edge is there with Victor Eklund. The offensive instincts are a little bit like lessened to an extent, and you get a player with edge, and I think that has a lot more staying power. And I think at the end of the day, that's going to set Victor apart, because I think the offensive upside is still absolutely there. But I still think that Victor Eklund has that edge that was missing from Willie's tape, and I think he has the offensive upside, if not at Will's level, just a little bit below. And I think that's going to give him staying power at the NHL and going to ultimately transform him to a really special prospect at the next level.
And Linc, anything else you want to state before we depart here?
I don't know. I like, hopefully I have some good videos of Kivi Haru for you guys when I get back. I can throw them on the big screen. And then actually when the Memorial Cup, or I guess when the OHL season ends, I will actually be in Poland. So I'm traveling a lot.
Ah,
so we're doing a lot of travel here.
Good
But we're doing we're having fun. We're having a good time. And again, like, this was a great episode. I love talking about Roger McQueen. It's a I can talk about
you know what?
hours.
Once he gets back into the season, we're gonna really start talking about him. We're gonna have some probably show some highlights and stuff like that. We're gonna have a little tracker for Roger McQueen. But for all our questions, we want some more. Get some in there. We like
you guys
to talk about that
killed
kind of
it.
stuff. Yeah, it was great. We had like 40 comments in the last episode, so that was a lot of fun. And
Keep
with
coming.
that, that's wrapping it up. That's the episode for today. And next time, we're going to be doing an episode in a week or so. And yeah, that's it for today. Linc, have fun in Finland. And everyone, we'll see you soon. Cheers.